The garden sector of Station Kepler 9 was always peaceful in the afternoon. Soft blue lights mimicked Earth's sky, and plants from a dozen different worlds grew in careful sections. Dr. Minji sat on a bench, checking data on her tablet while her two sons played nearby. Hyun, the older boy at 8 years old, was explaining something to his younger brother Taeyang. The 6-year-old listened with wide eyes, nodding at everything Hyun said. Minji smiled. Her sons had adapted well to station life, even though they were far from Earth. "Mom," Hyun called out, running over to her. "When is Halloween?" Minji looked up from her tablet. "Halloween? Well, it should be in a few weeks. Why do you ask?" "I miss it," Hyun said, sitting beside her. "Can we have Halloween here? On the station?" Taeyang joined them, tugging at his mother's sleeve. "Please, I want to dress up like a monster," Minji laughed. "I don't see why not. We can ask the other human families. It might be fun." She didn't notice the 3 aliens who had been tending nearby plants. They had stopped working and were listening. One was Ambassador Kira, a Velothian who looked like a tall mantis with silver skin. The second was Vrit, a Koloth merchant covered in soft purple fur. The third was a maintenance worker named Plix, small and blue with large black eyes. "What is Halloween?" Vrit asked, his voice gentle and curious. Minji turned, surprised. "Oh, it's a human holiday, a fun tradition for children mostly." Ambassador Kira moved closer, her antenna twitching. "Please explain. We wish to understand human customs." "Well," Minji began, "Halloween happens once a year. Children dress up in costumes and go from door to door at night. They ask for candy." "They travel at night?" Kira asked. Her voice sounded worried. "Yes, that's part of the fun. It's supposed to be a little spooky." "Spooky?" Plix repeated the unfamiliar word. "Scary," Hyun explained. "We dress up as monsters and ghosts." Taeyang jumped up excitedly. "And vampires, with blood and fangs." Minji noticed the aliens had gone very still. "It's just pretend," she added quickly. "The costumes aren't real. It's all for fun." "Children disguise themselves?" Kira asked slowly. "As predators?" "Sometimes. Or as ghosts, witches, zombies, anything scary or spooky." "What is a zombie?" Vrit asked. "Oh, it's a pretend monster, a dead person who comes back to life and walks around." The 3 aliens stared at her. Minji suddenly realized how that sounded. "It's just make-believe," she said again. "Humans don't actually come back from the dead. It's just stories. For fun." "And the children demand tribute?" Kira asked. "From adults?" "Tribute?" Minji blinked. "Oh, you mean the candy?" "Yes. Children say, trick or treat, and adults give them candy." "What if the adult refuses?" Plix asked, his large eyes even wider than before. "Then the kids might play a harmless prank, nothing serious, maybe toilet paper in a tree or silly string on a door." "They attack the dwelling?" Vrit's fur was standing up straight. "No, no, just a joke. A silly trick. It's all in good fun." But the aliens were backing away slowly. Ambassador Kira's antennae were flat against her head. Vrit was making a high-pitched humming sound. Plix had turned an even brighter shade of blue. "We must go," Kira said stiffly. "Thank you for explaining your tradition." The 3 aliens left quickly. Minji watched them go, confused. "Why did they leave?" Hyun asked. "I'm not sure," Minji said. "Maybe they had work to do." She didn't think much of it. She returned to her data while her sons went back to playing. The garden sector was peaceful again. But Ambassador Kira was not peaceful. She walked quickly through the station corridors, her mind racing. She went straight to the diplomatic wing and entered her office. Her fingers flew across her communication panel. She marked the message as urgent and began to type. "Security alert. Human juvenile training ritual discovered. Human offspring engage in annual nocturnal exercise. Details as follows." Young humans practice disguise techniques, specifically mimicking predator species. They travel in darkness, moving door to door through habitation areas. They demand resources from adult population. Refusal results in retaliatory action against property. This appears to be systematic preparation for hunting behavior. Human parent confirmed this occurs annually and involves all human children. Recommend increased monitoring of human families. Request guidance on appropriate response. She sent the message to the Velothian home world and copied it to the station's security office. Then she sent a personal message to other ambassadors on the station, warning them about what she had learned. Within an hour, her office was full of concerned aliens. Captain Ji-won, the human station liaison officer, was sitting in her office when her communication panel started beeping. Then it didn't stop. Message after message came in, all from different alien species, all asking about human juvenile training exercises. "What in the world?" Ji-won muttered. She opened the first message. It was from the Thrin ambassador, asking if human children were being trained for combat operations. The second message was from the Korvathi elder, requesting confirmation that human offspring would be released soon. The third was from station security, asking about Halloween. "Halloween?" Ji-won said out loud. "What does Halloween have to do with anything?" She read through more messages. Slowly, she began to understand. Someone had explained Halloween to the aliens, and they had completely misunderstood it. Ji-won put her head in her hands. Then she started laughing. She couldn't help it. The aliens thought Halloween was some kind of military training for children. Her communication panel beeped again. This time it was a call from Dr. Minji. "Captain Ji-won? Something strange is happening. I just received a message from the school. They want to know if Hyun and Taeyang are receiving combat training at home. What is going on?" "Did you talk to any aliens about Halloween today?" Ji-won asked. "Yes, in the garden. I just explained what it was. Why?" Ji-won sighed. "Because now half the station thinks human children are being trained as hunters. I'm getting dozens of concerned messages." There was silence on the other end. Then Minji started laughing too. "They think Halloween is combat training?" Apparently the disguises, the night activities, the demanding tribute, and the pranks for non-compliance all sounded very tactical to them. "Oh no," Minji said, but she was still laughing. "Should I send out a message explaining?" "Let me handle it," Ji-won said. "I'll send a station-wide notice clarifying that Halloween is just a children's party holiday." But Ji-won's message didn't help as much as she hoped. Many aliens read it and thought it was a cover story. After all, why would humans let their young practice hunting behaviors if they weren't predators? And humans were predators. Everyone knew that. They had forward-facing eyes and ate meat and came from a death world where everything tried to kill them. The Velothian ambassador read Ji-won's message 3 times. Then she locked it in her files under human threat assessment and continued preparing her report. By evening, the news had spread to every corner of the station. In the market sector, merchants whispered to each other about the coming human holiday. In the residential areas, alien families discussed whether they should leave the station for a few weeks. In the docking bay, some ship crews decided to move their departure dates up, just to be safe. And in the human quarters, families were getting very confused about why their alien neighbors were suddenly asking odd questions about their children. Minji tucked Hyun and Taeyang into bed that night, kissing them goodnight. "Mom," Hyun asked, "can we really have Halloween this year?" "I think so," Minji said, "though it might be a bit different than on Earth." She had no idea how different it would be, or how the entire station was about to change. The next morning, Station Kepler 9 woke up to chaos. Do-hyun was the first human to notice something was wrong. He was an engineer who worked in the lower decks, and when he arrived at his station, he found his Velothian co-worker installing extra locks on the supply cabinets. "What are you doing?" Do-hyun asked. The Velothian jumped, spinning around. Securing resources. Before the event. What event? The human juvenile training exercise. Halloween. The Velothian said the word like it was dangerous. Do-Yun stared, then he started laughing. You mean the kids' candy holiday? That Halloween? It is no laughing matter. We have received reports. Your offspring will be released soon. Released? They're not locked up. They're just kids. But the Velothian didn't look convinced. He finished installing the locks and hurried away. Do-Yun shook his head and got to work. As a joke, he printed out some paper bats on the fabricator and stuck them on the walls. Then he found some spare cable and draped it across the doorway like a spider web. It made him laugh. By lunchtime, 3 other aliens had filed complaints about the threatening decorations in engineering. Captain Jiwon called an emergency meeting with all the human adults on the station. 23 people crowded into the conference room. Okay, Jiwon said. We have a situation. The alien population believes Halloween is some kind of military exercise for our children. The room erupted in laughter. I'm serious, Jiwon continued. They're actually scared. Some families are requesting temporary quarters on the other side of the station. The Kaloth merchants are closing their shops early for the next 3 weeks, and security just asked me if we need special containment protocols. For trick-or-treating? Someone asked. Yes. More laughter filled the room. This is ridiculous, said Yuna, the teacher who ran the station's small school. Should we cancel it? I don't want to scare anyone. No way, Do-Hyun said. This is the funniest thing that's happened all year. We should absolutely have Halloween. Let them see it's harmless. Or, said a woman named Yoonji, we could make it really good. Show them what human holidays are really like. You want to make it bigger? Jiwon asked. Why not? Decorations, costumes, the whole thing. Once they see it's just fun, they'll relax. Jiwon thought about it. I suppose that could work. Show them there's nothing to fear. I can help with decorations, Do-Yun offered. I'll organize the kids' costumes, Yuna said. Around the room, other humans volunteered for different tasks. By the end of the meeting, they had a plan. Station Kepler 9 would have its first proper Halloween celebration. None of them realized this would make things worse before they got better. In the diplomatic wing, Ambassador Kira was watching security footage of the engineering bay. She could see the black shapes on the walls and the stringy material across the doorway. They are already marking territory, she said to the other ambassadors gathered in her office. Thrix, the Galatian security officer, flickered through several colors. He was made of crystal and communicated partly through light. Should we intervene? No, said Elder Voss, leader of the Korvathi. He was old and wise, with green skin and gills that fluttered when he breathed. We must observe, learn their patterns. If we interfere too early, we may trigger the behavior we wish to avoid. But the young ones, Vreet said nervously, if they are truly being trained... Captain Jiwon insists it is harmless, Ambassador Nira pointed out. She was a Thrin, covered in brown fur with small horns on her head. Perhaps we should trust her. Predators often downplay their own danger, Kira said. It is instinctive. They do not wish to alarm their prey. Are you calling us prey? Nira's ears flattened. I am stating facts. Humans are apex predators from a Class 12 death world. Their young are being trained in hunting techniques. This is consistent with their nature. The room fell silent. No one could argue with that logic. Meanwhile, in the school section, Yuna had gathered all the human children. There were 12 of them, ranging in age from 4 to 13. Okay, everyone, Yuna said. We're going to have Halloween this year, but we need to make our costumes from what we can find on the station. Who wants to help? Every hand shot up. Hyun and Ta Yang were the most excited. They had been talking about nothing else since yesterday. "I want to be a vampire," Hyun announced. "I want to be a werewolf," Taeyang said. "I call ghost," said a girl named Bora. "Zombie," said her brother Junho. Yuna smiled. "Perfect, let's get creative." They spent the afternoon raiding the recycling center and the craft supplies. Black fabric became capes, red paint became blood, white sheets became ghost costumes. Yuna showed them how to make fangs from plastic scraps and how to create realistic scars with makeup. The children worked hard, laughing and joking. They didn't notice the 3 alien children watching from the doorway. One of them was Krell, a young Korvathi. He had never seen anything like this before. The human children were covering themselves in fake wounds and dead colors. They were making themselves look like monsters. "Why?" Krell whispered to his friends. "They are practicing," another alien child said. "My parents said humans are very dangerous." "But they're laughing," Krell observed. "They look happy." "Maybe that's part of it." Krell wasn't sure, but he kept watching. By the end of the day, several things had happened across the station. Do-hyun had decorated the entire engineering bay with fake spider webs, paper bats, and plastic bones he'd fabricated. His human co-workers thought it was hilarious. His alien co-workers had requested transfers. The human families had started decorating their quarters. Orange and black colors appeared on doors. Carved faces showed up on storage containers. Strange symbols were drawn on windows. The aliens saw all of this and took notes. Clearly, the humans were preparing for something important. In the market sector, a human woman named Somin asked a merchant if he had any pumpkins. He didn't know what pumpkins were, so she showed him a picture. He screamed and dropped his data pad. "Why does the fruit have a face?" he demanded. "It's carved for Halloween." "You mutilate plant life as part of the ritual?" "Well, yes, but—" The merchant closed his shop immediately. Captain Jiwon watched all of this from her office and sighed. She sent another message to the station, trying to explain that Halloween was just fun and games. But her message was ignored by most aliens. They had evidence now. They could see the humans preparing. The territorial markings, the costume creation, the symbolic mutilation of vegetables, all of it pointed to something serious. That night, Elder Voss called a meeting of the non-human residents. Nearly 200 aliens gathered in the station's large assembly hall. "We must decide," Elder Voss said. "Do we evacuate, or do we stay and observe?" "I vote evacuate," Vreet said immediately. "My family and I will return to our home world until this passes." "That seems cowardly," Ambassador Nira said. "They are just children." "Human children," someone pointed out. "From a death world. Their young can survive on their own from a much earlier age than ours can." "I heard human juveniles hunt in packs," another alien added. "I heard they can run for hours without stopping." "I heard they have redundant organs." The meeting devolved into a sharing of terrifying facts about humans. Each fact was true, but together they painted a picture of an unstoppable species. Ambassador Kira listened to it all. Finally, she stood. "I propose a compromise," she said. "Those who wish to leave should do so. Those who wish to stay should prepare. Secure your quarters, stock extra resources, stay in groups, and most importantly, watch. If this Halloween is truly harmless, we will learn that. If it is not, we will be ready." The aliens agreed. Over the next week, half the station's population prepared to leave. The other half prepared to stay. And in the human quarters, children worked on their costumes and practiced their scariest faces. Hyun stood in front of a mirror, wearing his vampire cape and fake fangs. He made a hissing sound and held up his hands like claws. In the reflection, he saw his mother smiling. "Very scary," Minji said. "Do you think the aliens will like our costumes?" Hyun asked. I'm sure they'll find them very interesting, Minji said carefully. She had no idea how right she was. Halloween night arrived on Station Kepler 9. The human families had dimmed the lights in their section of the station to create the right atmosphere. Soft orange and purple lights glowed from doorways. Fake spiderwebs covered the walls. Carved vegetables with glowing faces sat on every corner. In Yuna's classroom, the final costume preparations were happening. 12 human children stood in various stages of transformation. Some were already in full costume. Others were getting last touches of makeup applied. Hyun adjusted his black cape and checked his fangs in a mirror. Perfect. He looked like a real vampire. Taeyang was having fake fur glued to his face by his mother. His werewolf costume had taken 3 days to make, and he wore it proudly. Bora's ghost costume was simple but effective. A white sheet with 2 eye holes cut out. Classic. Junho had outdone himself. His zombie costume included torn clothes, green face paint, and realistic-looking wounds made from tissue paper and red paint. He practiced his zombie walk, dragging one leg behind him. "Okay, everyone," Yuna called out. "Remember the rules. Stay together. Be polite. Say thank you and have fun." The children cheered. Captain Jiwon stood near the door, smiling. She had her camera ready to record this historic moment, the first Halloween in space. "Let's start with the residential corridor," Jiwon suggested. "We'll go door to door just like on Earth." The group set out, 12 children, 6 human adults, and enough excitement to power the station. They didn't know that half the station was watching them on security cameras. In the security office, Thrix and 2 other guards monitored multiple screens. They watched the group of small humans walking through the corridor. The children's costumes looked strange and frightening in the dim light. "Here we go," Thrix said, his crystalline body flickering orange with anxiety. In her quarters, Ambassador Kira sat in darkness, watching the same feed on her personal screen. She had locked her doors with 3 separate systems. Her emergency supplies were packed. Her communication device was set to instant alert. In the docking bay, several ships were preparing for emergency departure. Their crews watched the feeds too, ready to leave if things went wrong. But in another section, Ambassador Nira was doing something different. She was standing near her door, holding a bowl of fruit. Her hands were shaking slightly. "This is foolish," she muttered to herself. "They are just children playing. I should not be afraid." But she was afraid, and she hated that she was afraid. The human children reached the first door in the corridor. It belonged to a Velothian couple. Hyun knocked on the door. "Trick or treat," the other children joined in. "Trick or treat!" Silence. They waited. Nothing happened. The door stayed closed. "Maybe they didn't hear us," Taeyang said. Hyun knocked again, louder. "Trick or treat!" Still nothing. Inside the quarters, the Velothian couple sat frozen in fear. They could hear the small voices outside. The predator cubs were at their door, demanding tribute. "What do we do?" the wife whispered. "Stay silent. Perhaps they will move on." The children waited another minute. Then Yuna said gently, "I don't think anyone's home. Let's try the next one." They moved to the second door. This one belonged to a Koloth family. "Trick or treat!" the children called out. No answer. The third door was the same, and the fourth. Hyun's excited smile started to fade. "Why won't anyone open their doors?" "Maybe they're all sleeping," Minji said, though she knew that wasn't true. "At 7 o'clock?" Junho asked doubtfully. Captain Jiwon felt a knot form in her stomach. She had hoped this would work, that the aliens would see how harmless this was. But they were too scared to even open their doors. "Let's keep trying," Jiwon said with forced cheerfulness. They walked further down the corridor. The children's voices grew a bit quieter each time they knocked. Each time they were met with silence. Ambassador Nera watched all of this on her screen. She saw the children's disappointment. She saw how they were starting to slump, how their voices were losing enthusiasm. These were not predators. These were just children who wanted candy and were confused about why no one would play with them. Nera made a decision. She picked up her bowl of fruit, unlocked her door, and stepped into the corridor. The human group had just reached her section. She could hear them coming. "Trick or treat," a small voice called out, knocking on the door next to hers. No answer. The children sighed and turned around. That's when they saw her. Nera stood in the corridor holding her bowl. She tried to smile, though her ears were flat against her head with nervousness. "Hello," she said. Her voice only shook a little. The children stopped. They stared at her. Hyun spoke first. "Hello, we're trick-or-treating." "Yes, I know." Nera held out the bowl. "Would you like some fruit?" Taeyang's face lit up. "Thank you." He took a piece and bit into it. The other children crowded forward, each taking a piece. They were all talking at once, thanking her, showing her their costumes. "I'm a vampire," Hyun said proudly. "What's a vampire?" Nera asked. "It's a monster that drinks blood, but not real blood, just pretend." "Oh, that is creative." "And I'm a werewolf," Taeyang said, showing his fake fur. "I turn into a wolf when there's a full moon." "But you are not actually transforming?" Nera needed to be clear about this. "No, it's just a costume. For fun." Nera felt relief wash over her. "For fun." "Yes, I understand now." She looked at the other children. The ghost, the zombie, the witch, all the various monsters. They were elaborate costumes, yes. But underneath were just small humans who wanted to play. "Thank you for the fruit," Hyun said politely. "Happy Halloween." "Happy Halloween," Nera repeated carefully. The group moved on, their energy restored. They had gotten their first treat. Nera returned to her quarters and immediately sent a message on the station's network. "The human children are harmless. I have participated in the Halloween event. They are polite and kind. They simply want small treats. There is no threat. I repeat, there is no threat." In the security office, Thrix read the message. He watched the feed of Ambassador Nera smiling and waving at the children. He made a decision. "I am going out there," he announced. "What? Why?" his coworker asked. "If Ambassador Nera, a Thryn who is braver than most of us, says it is safe, then I will trust her judgment. Besides, I am curious about this human tradition." Thrix left the security office and walked toward the human section. He passed several closed doors, several frightened aliens hiding in their quarters. He found the group of children 3 corridors away. "Excuse me," he called out. "I am told I should have treats to offer." The children turned around and gasped. Thrix was beautiful when he wanted to be. His crystalline body caught the dim lights and scattered them in rainbow patterns across the walls. "You're so pretty," Bora said. Thrix flickered with pleasure. "Thank you. I do not have candy, but I have these." He held out small light crystals, the kind used for emergency lighting. "Wow!" The children each took one. The crystals glowed softly in their hands. "What are you?" Junho asked, fascinated. "I am Galatian. We are silicon-based life forms." "That's so cool," Hyun said. "Thank you for the crystals." "You are welcome. What are you?" "I'm a vampire, and that's my brother." "He's a werewolf." "And what do vampires and werewolves do?" "We're scary! Roar!" Taeyang made a monster face. Thrix flickered through several colors. "Oh no, how frightening," he said in a completely flat tone. The children laughed. "You're supposed to run away," Taeyang explained. "Run away?" "Yeah, that's part of the game. We chase you and you run." Thrix considered this. Then he made a decision. "Very well, I shall run. You must chase me." He turned and ran down the corridor, his crystalline body flashing different colors. The children squealed with delight and chased after him. This was when everything changed. Other aliens, watching on their screens, saw Thrix running and the children chasing him. But then they saw something else. They saw Thrix laughing. They saw him let the children catch him. They saw him pretend to be defeated and the children celebrating their victory. It was play, just play. Pack leader Shorn was watching from his ship in the docking bay. He was Draxi, a predator species himself. His people had hunted in packs for thousands of years. He understood hunting behavior, and this was not hunting. This was play hunting. Like Draxi cubs did when they were young. They would chase and tackle and pretend, learning skills, but also having fun. "Cancel departure," he told his crew. "I must see this more closely." He left his ship and headed toward the human section. By now, doors were starting to open. Not many, but some. Curious aliens peeked out, watching the children play with Thrix. They saw no violence, no threat, just laughter and joy. One brave Velothian opened his door and offered some purple berries. The children thanked him politely and moved on. Another alien offered water crystals. Another offered dried fruit. The group of children was getting larger now, not just humans. Krell, the young Korvathi who had been watching the costume preparation, stepped forward. "Can I join?" he asked shyly. Hyun looked at him. "Do you have a costume?" "No." Hyun thought for a moment. Then he took off his cape and draped it around Krell's shoulders. "Now you're a vampire too." Krell's eyes went wide. "Really? Really? Come on." Two other alien children joined next. Yuna helped them put together quick costumes from spare materials. The parade continued through the corridors. More doors opened. More treats were offered. More aliens stepped out to see what was happening. And in her locked quarters, Ambassador Kira finally unlocked one of her doors and looked out. She could hear laughter echoing through the station. Pack leader Shorn found the group of children in the main corridor near the market sector. There were more of them now than when he had last checked the security feeds. Not just human children anymore. He counted at least 5 alien children mixed in with the group. They were all in various states of costume. Some elaborate, some simple. All of them were laughing. Shorn stepped forward, his large form blocking the corridor. He was tall and covered in dark scales with red markings. His teeth were sharp and visible. To most species, he looked terrifying. The children stopped. They stared up at him. Shorn stared back. Then he let out a dramatic gasp and clutched his chest. "Oh no! Monsters! They have come for me!" He turned and ran, but slowly, clumsily, so the children could keep up. For a moment, the children just stood there, surprised. Then Taeyang figured it out. "He's playing! Chase him!" The entire group erupted in squeals and chased after Shorn. He ran through the corridor, making exaggerated, scared noises. He dodged around corners, peeked out, and ran again when the children spotted him. Finally, he let them corner him near the market sector. He fell to his knees dramatically. "You have defeated me! I surrender to the mighty monsters!" The children cheered. Hyun held out his hand. "Trick or treat!" Shorn pulled out a bag from his belt. Inside were small carved stones, traditional Draxi crafts. He gave one to each child. "You are skilled hunters," he said seriously. "You work well as a pack." "We're not really hunting," Hyun explained. "It's just pretend." "I know," Shorn said. "My people do similar things with our young. We call it the running game. Cubs practice hunting skills through play." "Really?" Krell asked, fascinated. "Yes, it teaches cooperation, strategy, speed, but mostly it is fun." Shorn stood up. "I wish to join your hunt, may I?" The children looked at each other. Then Bora nodded. "Sure, but you need a costume." What should I be? A dragon, Junho suggested. What is a dragon? The children spent the next 5 minutes explaining dragons to Shorn. He listened carefully, asking questions. Then he nodded. I understand. I shall be a dragon. Someone found a piece of orange fabric. Shorn draped it over his shoulders like wings. One of the human adults drew a flame symbol on his chest with washable paint. Perfect, Yuna declared. Now you're a dragon. The group continued their journey. With Shorn walking alongside them, more aliens opened their doors. If a Draxi pack leader was participating, then it must be safe. They reached the market sector. Most of the shops had been closed, but a few merchants had decided to stay. One of them was watching from his doorway. Trick or treat, the children called out. The merchant, a nervous Koloth named Ven, held out a bowl of candied seeds. The children took some and thanked him. Why do you thank us? Ven asked, confused. You demanded tribute. We are supposed to thank you for not causing trouble. That's not how it works, Hyun explained patiently. You're being nice by giving us treats. So we say thank you. But you said trick or treat. That is a threat. No, it's a choice. Treat means you give us candy. Trick means we do a silly prank. But usually everyone gives treats, so there are no tricks. That seems backwards, Ven said. A lot of human things seem backwards, Captain Jiwon said with a smile. But we mean well. Ven thought about this. Then he smiled, too. Would you like more seeds? I have plenty. By now, word was spreading fast through the station. Aliens were watching the feeds, seeing the children playing and laughing with Shorn and Thrix. They were hearing reports from Ambassador Nira about how polite the children were. More aliens started emerging from their quarters. In the entertainment district, a human couple named Jinwoo and Mina had been preparing something special. They owned a small venue that usually hosted movie nights and concerts. Tonight, they had transformed it into something else. Is it ready? Jinwoo asked, adjusting the last light. I think so, Mina said, though I have no idea if anyone will come. They had created a haunted house. Not a real one, of course. Just a series of rooms with dim lighting, spooky sounds, and harmless surprises. Jump scares, mostly. Fake spiders dropping from the ceiling. Rubber skeletons popping out of closets. The kind of thing that would make humans laugh and scream in equal measure. Should we open it? Mina asked. Let's try. They opened the doors and turned on the sign. It read, Haunted House, enter if you dare. Within minutes, they had their first visitor. It was Elder Voss, the Korvathi leader. He stood at the entrance, studying the sign. What is this? He asked. It's a haunted house, Jinwoo explained. You walk through dark rooms and things try to scare you. Why would anyone want to be scared? For fun. Elder Voss blinked his large eyes slowly. Explain. Well, you see, humans enjoy controlled fear. We like the feeling of being scared when we know we're actually safe. It's exciting. Fascinating. Elder Voss stepped forward. I wish to try this. Really? Mina was surprised. Yes, I am old. I have experienced many things, but I have never experienced recreational fear. Show me. Jinwoo and Mina exchanged glances. Then they led Elder Voss into the first room. The haunted house was gentle by human standards. A few creaky sounds, some shadows moving on the walls, a plastic skeleton that rattled when you walked past it. Elder Voss walked through slowly, examining everything. When the skeleton rattled, he jumped slightly. Then he made a sound that Jinwoo realized was laughter. Clever, Elder Voss said. It triggered my instinct to flee, but I quickly recognized there was no real threat. The relief creates pleasure. Exactly, Mina said. They went through more rooms. A ghost made of sheets dropped from the ceiling. Elder Voss jumped again, then laughed again. By the time they finished, Elder Voss was practically bubbling with excitement. This is wonderful. Others must try this. He hurried out and immediately started telling every alien he saw about the haunted house. Within an hour, there was a line outside. Aliens who had been hiding in their quarters were now waiting to be scared on purpose. Velothians, Koloth, Thrin, Korvathi, even a few brave Plix. Each one went through the haunted house, each one jumped and screamed, and each one came out laughing. "I never knew fear could be enjoyable," one Velothian said, her antenna quivering with delight. "My heart's a-racing," a Koloth merchant said, "but I feel alive." "Again," a young Plix demanded. "I want to go again." Meanwhile, the trick-or-treating group had grown even larger. There were now at least 20 children, half human and half alien. They had been joined by more adults, too. Aliens who wanted to see this Halloween tradition up close. They moved through the station like a parade. More doors opened. More treats were offered. Some aliens gave traditional foods from their worlds. Others gave small crafts or toys. One creative Velothian gave out small holographic projectors that displayed different shapes. The children's bags were getting heavy with treasures. "This is the best Halloween ever," Hyun said to his mother. Minji smiled. "It really is." Taeyang was walking with Krell now, teaching him how to growl like a werewolf. Krell was terrible at it, but he was having fun trying. Bora was explaining ghost stories to a young Thrin who had never heard of ghosts before. Junho was showing his zombie walk to Shorn, who was critiquing his technique from a hunter's perspective. The groups mixed and mingled. Human children with alien children, human adults with alien adults, everyone talking, laughing, learning about each other. In her quarters, Ambassador Kira finally unlocked her second door, then her third. She stepped into the corridor just as the parade passed by. A small human child looked up at her. It was Taeyang, still in his werewolf costume. "Trick or treat?" he asked, holding out his bag. Kira's antenna twitched. She looked at this small human, covered in fake fur, making a silly face at her. This was supposed to be a predator cub in training, but all she saw was a child having fun. I do not have treats," she said quietly. "That's okay," Taeyang said. "You can give us a trick instead." "A trick?" "Yeah, show us something cool." Kira thought for a moment. Then she lifted her arms and spread her wing covers, displaying the full span of her body. In the dim light, her silver skin caught the glow and created beautiful patterns. The children gasped. "Wow," Taeyang said. "You're beautiful." Kira felt something warm in her chest. Pride, perhaps, or happiness. "Thank you, small human. My name is Taeyang. Taeyang. I am Ambassador Kira." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small crystal, a Velothian good luck charm. "Here, a treat." Taeyang took it carefully. "Thank you, Ambassador Kira. Happy Halloween." "Happy Halloween, Taeyang." Kira watched the parade continue down the corridor. She stood there for a long time, thinking. Then she returned to her quarters and began writing a new report. Previous assessment was incorrect. Human Halloween is not combat training. It is a cultural bonding ritual that encourages cooperation, sharing, and joy. Recommend full station participation in future years. She sent the report to her homeworld. Then she sent a personal apology to Captain Jiwon for causing unnecessary panic. By the end of the night, the haunted house had hosted over 100 visitors. The trick-or-treating parade had traveled through every section of the station. Children of multiple species had played together and shared treats. And Station Kepler 9 had learned something important about humans. They were not just predators. They were also playful, creative, and generous. And their holidays, strange as they might seem, were worth celebrating. In the human quarters, tired children sorted through their treats and compared treasures. Hyun and Taeyang sat on their floor, surrounded by candies, fruits, crystals, and crafts from a dozen different worlds. "Can we do this again next year?" Hyun asked. I think, Dr. Minji said, that the station will insist on it. The morning after Halloween, Station Kepler 9 woke up to a very different atmosphere. The corridors were decorated with orange and black streamers. Paper bats still hung from the ceiling. Fake spider webs draped across doorways. But now, instead of looking threatening, they looked festive. Captain Ji-won walked to her office with a smile on her face. She passed aliens who waved at her cheerfully. A Koloth merchant called out a greeting. A group of Velothian engineers were discussing the fascinating psychological aspects of recreational fear. Everything had changed. In the cafeteria, human and alien families sat together at breakfast. Children who had been trick-or-treating together last night were now sharing stories about their favorite parts of the evening. Krell sat with Hyun and Taeyang, still wearing the black cape Hyun had lent him. His parents had tried to take it off before bed, but he had insisted on keeping it. "Can I be a vampire again next year?" Krell asked. "Sure," Hyun said, "or you could be something else. There are lots of monsters to choose from." "How many?" Hyun thought about it. "Hundreds, probably. Maybe thousands." Krell's eyes went wide. "I want to learn about all of them." At another table, pack leader Shorn was eating with Elder Voss and Ambassador Nira. They were discussing the events of the previous night. "I have sent a full report to my people," Shorn said. "The running game is similar to Halloween, but Halloween is more elaborate. I think my cubs would enjoy learning about it." "My people as well," Elder Voss said. "The haunted house was particularly educational. We experienced fear in a controlled environment and learned that we could overcome it. This has therapeutic value." Ambassador Nira nodded. "The Thrin Council asked me to acquire full documentation of Halloween traditions. They wish to study human recreational practices." "It is more than recreation," Elder Voss observed. "It is community building. Last night, we saw barriers break down between species. Children who had never spoken before became friends. Adults who were strangers shared laughter. This is valuable." Captain Ji-won had just sat down with her own breakfast when her communication panel beeped. She checked it and nearly spit out her drink. The message was from the Galactic Council's Cultural Exchange Program. They had heard about Halloween on Station Kepler 9. They wanted a full report. Multiple stations across known space were requesting information about how to celebrate Halloween themselves. "Oh my," Ji-won muttered. She immediately forwarded the message to Dr. Minji with a note. "Your explanation in the garden has gone galactic." In the school section, Yuna was having an unexpected morning. 20 alien children had shown up at the classroom, all asking if they could make Halloween costumes. Their parents stood behind them, looking apologetic but hopeful. "We can make costumes any time," Yuna said, delighted. "Halloween is just once a year, but that doesn't mean we can't dress up and play whenever we want." The classroom exploded with activity. Children worked together, human and alien, creating new costumes. A young Thrin wanted to be a ghost like Bora. A Plix wanted to be a zombie like Junho. A Korvathi asked what a witch was, and could she be one? Parents watched through the doorway, amazed at how well the children worked together. Language barriers disappeared when focused on a common goal. Species differences didn't matter when creating fake fangs and paper wings. In the market sector, the merchants who had closed their shops were reopening, but many of them had made changes. Then, the Koloth merchant who had given out candied seeds had set up a new display. He was selling Halloween treats year-round, small candies, fruits, and crafts specifically sized for giving away. "Is this appropriate?" he asked Captain Ji-won when she stopped by. "I do not wish to disrespect human traditions." "It's perfect," Ji-won said. "Halloween is about sharing and community. You're capturing the spirit of it exactly." Ven looked relieved. "Good, because I have orders from 3 other stations already. They want Halloween supplies." "Really?" "Yes." Word spread fast. Everyone wants to try this human holiday. Ji-won shook her head in wonder. One explanation in a garden had turned into a galactic phenomenon. In the entertainment district, Jinwoo and Mina were dealing with their own success. They had decided to keep the haunted house open permanently, rotating different themes each month. "We could do a space theme next," Mina suggested. "Or maybe underwater." "Ancient Earth myths," Jinwoo added. "The aliens love learning about human mythology." They already had bookings for the next 2 weeks. Aliens from all over the station wanted to experience recreational fear. Some wanted to go through multiple times, learning how to overcome their instincts. It had become more than entertainment. It had become a way for species to challenge themselves, to grow braver, to understand that fear could be faced and defeated. That afternoon, the station council called a special meeting. All the ambassadors attended, along with Captain Ji-won, Dr. Minji, and several other humans. Elder Voss stood at the head of the table. "We are here to discuss making Halloween an official station holiday." "I support this," Ambassador Nira said immediately. "As do I," Shorn agreed. Ambassador Kira was quiet for a moment. Everyone looked at her. Finally, she spoke. "I was wrong," she said quietly. "I judged humans by my own fear, rather than by observation. Halloween is not a threat. It is a gift, a tradition that brings joy and connection. I vote yes." The vote was unanimous. Halloween would become an annual celebration on Station Kepler 9. But there was more. "I propose," Elder Voss continued, "that we create a new position. Halloween Ambassador. Someone to coordinate the celebration, teach others about the traditions, and help it grow." "Who did you have in mind?" Captain Ji-won asked. Elder Voss smiled, which looked unusual on his amphibious face. "I nominate Hyun and Tae-yang, the human children who started all of this." The room erupted in agreement. That evening, there was a small ceremony in the main concourse. Hyun and Tae-yang stood at the front, confused but excited. Their parents stood behind them, proud and amused. Elder Voss presented them each with a special badge. It was a small metal pin shaped like a jack-o'-lantern, the carved vegetable that had so frightened the merchant days ago. "You are now the official Halloween ambassadors of Station Kepler 9, Elder Voss announced. "Your job is to help others understand and celebrate this wonderful tradition." Hyun looked at the badge, then at his brother, then at the crowd of humans and aliens gathered to watch. "Does this mean we get to teach everyone about Halloween?" "Yes." "All the decorations and costumes and candy and everything?" "Everything." Tae-yang tugged on Elder Voss's sleeve. "What about the other holidays?" "What other holidays?" "Humans have lots of holidays," Tae-yang explained enthusiastically. "There's Christmas with the tree and presents, and Easter with eggs and a bunny, and Thanksgiving with the big meal, and New Year with fireworks, and—" Elder Voss held up a hand, his eyes wide. "Perhaps we should focus on one holiday at a time." But the damage was done. The aliens in the audience were already whispering to each other, curious about these other human traditions. Captain Ji-won caught Dr. Minji's eye, and they both started laughing. "I should probably explain these carefully," Minji said, "before someone thinks Easter is about combat rabbits." "Too late," Ambassador Nira called out. "I just received a message asking if the Easter Bunny is a territorial predator." The crowd laughed together, human and alien voices mixing into one sound. After the ceremony, there was a party in the garden sector where this had all started. Food from a dozen worlds covered the tables. Music played, a mix of human songs and alien melodies. Children ran through the gardens, some still in their Halloween costumes, others in regular clothes. It didn't matter. They were playing together, and that was what counted. Hyun and Tae-yang sat on the same bench where Hyun had first asked about Halloween. Krell sat with them, along with Bora, Junho, and several other children who had become friends. "Next year will be even better," Hyun said confidently. "We have a whole year to plan." Can we make the haunted house bigger? Krell asked. And have more decorations, Bora added. And teach everyone the Monster Mash dance, Junho said. What's the Monster Mash? Krell asked. The human children looked at each other and grinned. We'll show you. Nearby, the adults were having their own conversation. Captain Jiwan was telling Ambassador Kira about other Earth holidays, being very careful to explain each one thoroughly. So Christmas is about family and gift-giving, not about a home invasion by an old man? Correct. And Thanksgiving is about gratitude and sharing a meal, not about hunting large birds? The birds are already dead when we cook them, so yes. And Valentine's Day is about expressing affection, not about arrows being used as weapons. The arrows are metaphorical. Ambassador Kira took notes on everything. Human holidays are very complex. They're not that complex, Captain Jiwan said. They're just about bringing people together, celebrating life and having fun. Like Halloween. Exactly like Halloween. As the party continued into the evening, messages were being sent across the galaxy. Stations were downloading Halloween guides. Planets were requesting costume patterns. Species were learning about trick-or-treating and haunted houses and the joy of recreational fear. Humans had been part of the galactic community for less than a decade. They were still new, still learning the rules, still figuring out how to fit in. But with one simple tradition, they had changed things. They had shown that differences between species didn't matter as much as the connections you could make, that fear could be overcome with understanding. That play was universal, even if the forms it took were different. Station Kepler 9 had been built as a place for different species to work together. But now it had become something more. It had become a home, a place where anyone could belong, where any tradition could be shared, where children of any species could play together. And it had all started with a simple question in a garden. Later that night, after Hyun and Tai Yang had been tucked into bed, Dr. Minji stood at her window, looking out at the station. Lights glowed in the corridors. She could see decorations still hanging in the distance. She could hear laughter echoing from the concourse. Captain Jiwan's voice came through her communication panel. You still awake? Yeah. I just got a message from the Galactic Council. They want to feature Halloween in next year's Cultural Exchange Summit. Really? Really. They're calling it the tradition that bridged predator and prey species. You're famous. Minji laughed. I just explained a holiday to my kids. You did more than that. You gave the galaxy something it didn't know it needed. After the call ended, Minji smiled and looked at her sleeping sons. Hyun had his vampire fangs on his nightstand. Tae-yang was hugging his werewolf costume like a stuffed animal. They were just children who wanted to celebrate a holiday. They had no idea they had changed the galaxy. But that was the thing about humans. They didn't set out to change things. They just lived their lives, shared their traditions, and welcomed others to join in. And sometimes that was enough to make the universe a little bit better. In her quarters, Ambassador Kira was writing one final report to her home world. I have learned something important about humans, she wrote. They are predators, yes, but they are also playful, kind, and generous. They face their fears and turn them into games. They share what they have with anyone who asks. They teach their young to be brave and silly in equal measure. I was wrong to fear them. I should have tried to understand them instead. And now that I do, I find I quite like them. I look forward to next Halloween. And I am curious about this Easter bunny they mentioned, though I am told I should not worry about it being a territorial predator. I remain skeptical. She sent the report and went to bed for the first time in weeks, feeling completely safe. Station Kepler 9 slept peacefully that night, decorated in orange and black, full of species who had been strangers but were now friends, all because of Halloween.